almost got this in. Yep. Oh, hi there. I didn't notice you there. See what I was doing? I was changing a light bulb. But typically you don't change a light bulb when the light's on, but because you wouldn't be able to see otherwise, I was pretending to change a light bulb. So, what was I standing on? That's right, it was a ladder. And, can you imagine a world without ladders? I mean, how would I be able to change a light bulb? Or how would firefighters be able to use their ladder trucks to save people? Or all sorts of ladders in this world that just pop up here and there, and we need to use them because we're not tall enough to wherever we need to go. So ladders are very, very important, aren't they, Zoe? Hi friends, this is Father Michael. I'm here with my daughter Zoe. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Speaking of ladders, I wanted to tell you a little story about a ladder. And I'll get to why we're talking about ladders in just a second. But has anybody ever read this book? Papa, Please Get the Moon for Me? It's a great book, and we're going to read it together. You ready? Snuggle into your favorite couch or pillow, and let's read this together. Papa, Please Get the Moon for Me by Eric Carey. Before Monica went to bed, she looked out of her window and saw the moon. The moon looked so near. See, there's the moon. So near. I wish I could play with the moon, thought Monica, and reached for it. But no matter how much she stretched, she could not touch the moon. She's trying to stretch and touch the moon. Papa, said Monica to her father, please get the moon for me. So you can see Papa reaching up with Monica to get the moon. Do you think that they could reach the moon?
No. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, because they used the ladder.
Ooh, you've gotten to the heart of the story. Papa got a very long ladder. Look how long that ladder is. Really long. A lot longer than the ladder we were just using. He carried the very long ladder toward a very high mountain. See, there's the long, long ladder. There's the high, high mountain. Whoop, and we even need another page to show how long this ladder is. Then Papa put the very long ladder on top of the very high mountain. Wow, that's high. There he is climbing up. Do you think he's going to make it to the moon?
Yeah.
You think so? Wow. Up and up and up he climbed. Wow, he's climbing up and up and up through the stars to the moon. Isn't that amazing? And here you'll see a very well-worn page with a nice handwritten version of the story. Finally, Papa got to the moon. My daughter Monica would like to play with you, but you are much too big, said Papa. Every night I get a little smaller. When I am just the right size, you can take me with you, said the moon. See? There's the moon. And indeed, the moon got smaller and smaller and smaller. There's the moon getting smaller and smaller and smaller. When the moon was just the right size, Papa took it down and down and down he climbed. There he is, taking it down and down and down. Here, said Papa to Monica, I have the moon for you. Monica jumped and danced with the moon.
You're so tiny.
She hugged the moon and threw it into the air, but the moon kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and finally it disappeared altogether. Then one night, Monica saw a thin sliver of the moon reappear. There it is. Each night the moon grew. See, it's growing. Wow, there it is. It's really big. The end. So you're probably wondering by this point, why all this talk about ladders? Well, it just so happens that this Sunday is the Sunday that we remember St. John Climacus. And if anybody knows Greek out there, they'll know that St. John Climacus is not his first and last name. His last name is something different, but Climacus means of the ladder. So he was St. John of the ladder. Now, why do you think he was St. John of the ladder? Well, does anybody remember the story from the Old Testament, from the Bible, where Jacob went to sleep one night and he had a dream about a ladder that went all the way up, not to the moon, but to heaven and to God? Well, St. John of the Ladder lived a long time after Jacob, but still a long, long time ago. And he was a monk who lived all by himself in the desert for 40 years. He prayed and he read the Bible and he did all sorts of things, and he was very close to God. And he was so close to God that he knew everything there was to know about how to reach God. And so one day, one of his disciples, one of his followers, asked him if he would write a book that would give us instructions to how to get from earth all the way up to heaven. Can you imagine how many instructions we would need to get all the way up until heaven? And St. John wrote that book, and it's called The Ladder of Divine Ascent. I just want to tell you a couple of stories about St. John just to show you how amazing he was. St. John was in his room one day, and he received a message from God saying that one of his followers, one of his disciples, was in a lot of danger. And so he prayed really quickly to ask that God would save this disciple. And when the disciple came in a little bit later, he asked, St. John asked him, "Were you in any kind of trouble?" And the disciple said, "Actually, I was very tired, and so I went to sleep under this rock, and I heard the rock moving, but what I actually heard is I heard you calling out my name, and so I ran to meet you, and then I saw the rock just fall down exactly where I was, and it would have killed me if I didn't know that you had called me out." And St. John was not even close to where the man was, so there's no way he could have actually called him, but God saved him through the prayers of St. John. There are many other stories like that that show us how amazing of a person he was, but his ladder of divine ascent shows us if we climb and climb and climb through God's love and through God's grace, we will reach heaven even though we are here on earth. So, how do we start? We start by loving God and loving our neighbor. And through all of our efforts to love God and to love those around us, our family, our friends, our brothers and our sisters, that will allow us to climb higher and higher and higher so that we can not just get the moon down from the sky, but that we can become in a relationship, we can come into a relationship with God and with all of the saints. So on that note, I'm going to teach you a little song with my special helper here. So Zoe, do you want to come and help me? And this is a song that we wrote just for the feast day today. Okay, it goes like this. So let's climb, climb, climb the ladder to heaven. You will find that it's much better to climb together. And when we're almost at the top, what happens? So tired and hungry that we're about to drop, Christ will give us his own love, and we'll be together up above. So let's climb, climb, climb the ladder to heaven. There are so many stairs, but with love we'll make it through till we find ourselves with God and the saints and the angels and me and you. So let's climb, climb, climb the ladder to heaven. You think you got it? Can you try it with your friends and family? All right. All right, so this Sunday we celebrate St. John of the Ladder. But there's another beautiful person that we celebrate every Friday during Great Lent, and that is the Panagia, the Most Holy Theotokos, or the Mother of our God. And in a lot of the hymns, we talk about the Mother of God, Mary, as being the ladder that took us from earth to heaven, because it was through her that Jesus came down to earth to be able to bring us up to heaven. So she is the ladder that brings us up to heaven. So we're going to sing in her honor the beautiful hymn, Seeing How Beautiful. Seeing how beautiful was your virginity, and how your purity shone forth resplendently. Amazed was Gabriel, who cried to you thus, O Theotokos, what shall I present to